Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Mapple Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and today we are going to be talking about a sort of buyer's beware for new people who are looking to open a business for the first time in 2022 in the coffee industry. This is going to be a conversation that is going to open your mind about what's ahead. The next episodes after this are going to be with Carlos de la Torre. And if you are thinking about opening a business, make sure you tune in for those as well, because he is going to share some really big insight into what it was like for him, having had no experience in business ownership, to open up in a very challenging time. So the next 5 episodes are going to be a great companion piece to this discussion. You ready? Let's do it. This podcast is brought to you by Mapple Forward's new Patreon community, the Global Coffee Think Tank. Check the show notes or head to patreon.com/Mapple Forward to find out how you can become a member today. Okay, so if you are opening a business for the first time in 2022 in the coffee industry, or you're thinking about doing it, we need to have a chat. The reason we need to have a chat is because there is some downward pressure that's going to create perhaps a challenging enough environment that I might be able to talk you out of it for this year. The reason I want to discourage people from opening businesses this year is actually quite unusual for me, because I'm always somebody who encourages people to go after your dreams and follow your passions and do all that kind of thing. The reason I'm not doing that this year is because there is tectonic level shifting going on in our industry this year. This will be a definitive year for how our industry organizes itself. I'll say it again. I believe that we will have a global financial crisis of some sort this year. And I said that in an earlier episode this month. But I believe it's going to be serious, and I believe that it is going to perhaps create a big culling of businesses in the industry. In order to open a business, you'll need some starting capital. And you are either going to have that for yourself, or you'll have to borrow that. Now, while money's cheap, it might seem like a good time to borrow some money and be leveraged. The reason I'd like you to hold off is because the way that inflation is going, the way that the economy is going, the way that money lending is going to go, I think you'd be better off holding off until next year, at least, and waiting to see how the ground under your feet is shifting. Right now, there's just too much volatility if you haven't been in business before to know how to navigate this time. Unfortunately, we're an industry where people try their hand at business for the first time in an industry they know nothing about. And that creates a lot of problems. But more than ever, that is going to create problems this year, because we have supply chain issues, we have a labor shortage, and we have severe economic uncertainty that is just going to create a really, really difficult footing for you to start a business. What I would encourage instead is perhaps looking at the grand scale of what you're looking at doing and doing small pop-ups instead. So event style businesses that are more like projects rather than businesses, and use those opportunities to test what you're doing. And I'm doing this with a couple of my clients at the moment that have come to me and said, I'm super excited about opening a business. I've always wanted to have my own cafe. I've just left my corporate job, or I've just left my role as a barista. I've got access to this much cash. Tell me what to do. And when I manage their expectations by going through exactly what it's going to cost for them to do what they want to do, it becomes evident very quickly that this is perhaps not a good time to be doing what they're going to be doing. And so please remember, the stress of opening a business is something that even if you expect it to be stressful, I cannot express how much you are underestimating the level of stress that will be involved. It's hard work, but it's two kinds of hard work. There's the easy hard work, and then there's the hard work. The hard work comes from you being pushed to the edge of who you are and being challenged internally as a person to manage all the things that you never saw coming. So the number of blind spots that will be ahead of you are many if you've never opened a business before. So this episode is for people, as I said at the top of the episode, it is for people who are new into the industry or are new into small business ownership in the industry. So if you've been a barista in the industry or a roaster and you want to open a cafe, this is not the year to do that for the first time. If you are from the corporate world and have never worked in coffee and you are it's always been your dream to do this, this is not the year to do that, in my opinion. I am the last person who ever wants to say to anybody, don't do something. What I am encouraging you to do is do these smaller little things and build up the confidence that you can manage a budget, you can manage cash flow, you can create a customer acquisition plan and pull in the customers that are needed for a business like this. Once you've done that a number of times, you're no longer as green as you were, and you have insight into how to engage in the supply chain. You have an understanding of whether you've got what's required to do this in a year that brings with it an astronomical amount of volatility with regards to the way so many different things could go. So just some things to consider. Do you agree? Do you think that this is going to be not the most challenging year, because who can know, but do you agree that this is a very tough year for anybody who wants to open their first business in the coffee industry? Let me know your thoughts. I'm really keen. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing and liking. If you're watching on YouTube, if you are listening through podcast listening apps, please subscribe to the podcast and share it with your friends. Peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Have an amazing rest of your day. Thanks, friends. If you enjoyed this video, here's what you should check out next. Consider supporting Map It Forward on Patreon and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell before you leave.